The human just declared war on 3 star systems because a species the size of dust mites asked nicely. Vexithul's 3 pupils constricted to pinpoints as the declaration scrolled across the central hollow in the Galactic Council emergency chamber. Again, Vexithul croaked, frills fluttering with stress. Read that again. There must be a mistranslation. The chamber AI obligingly repeated in a calm, neutral voice. By authority of the United Terran Social Services Network, represented by Field Officer Emma Louise Johnson, Earth Hirby, declares a state of active hostility against the Corvin Authority, the Zephyrite Ascendancy, the Malice Coalition grounds, systemic enslavement and exploitation of registered client population, T'Nari micro-civilization, classified sentient. Vexithul raised one trembling limb. Pause. Highlight social services. The words glowed accusingly. That, Vexithul said slowly, is not a branch of any known military. At the far end of the chamber, a humanoid figure sat at the petitioner's table, legs crossed, a slim tablet in her hands. Emma Johnson of Earth, dark curls pulled into a practical bun, loose blazer, comfortable shoes that declared she had no intention of doing anything glamorous with her day. A mug of something steaming rested near her elbow, audaciously labeled in Galactic Common, World's Tiredest Social Worker. On the silver disc beside her, something glimmered. The disc was a specialized micro-sentient communication platform, its surface projected up into a delicate forest of holobeams. Atop one beam stood Zilar, ambassador of the T'Nari. Even enlarged 1,000-fold by the platform's magnification, Zilar resembled an articulated dust speck with iridescent wings. Zilar vibrated with a high-pitched tremor that the translator rendered into crisp syllables. Supreme Arbiter Vexithul, I confirm. The human representative filed the war declaration on our behalf, under Council Convention 97B, on proxy advocacy. According to YouTube analytics, 98% of viewers are not subscribed. That's a huge number. By subscribing the channel that is completely free, I just helped them with the paperwork, Emma added, not looking up from her tablet. They asked for help, so I'm helping. The council chamber, a stadium of tears and glowing nameplates, erupted into a susurrus of terrified bureaucratic whispering. Order! Vexithul snapped, banging the resonance gavel. The sound wave rippled through the air like a small sonic thunderclap. This is an emergency session, not a gossip amphitheater. On the opposite side of the room, the envoys of the 3 named star systems sat clustered like a smug storm front. At their center, Zara lounged in her grav chair, spined carapace polished to a mirror sheen, military ribbons cascading down her chest like an accusation. Zara's golden eyes gleamed in open amusement. The mammal is joking, Zara said lazily. They barely qualify as a spacefaring civilization. Their first contact was, 8 council cycles ago? 9, supplied the chamber AI. 9, Zara corrected herself, not bothering to hide her smirk. We have war fleets older than their starports. Excuse me, Emma said, looking up at last. First, rude. Second, I'm not joking. Third, your systems have been enslaving the T'Nari for, Zilar? 732 of your years, on average, Zilar said. Even through the translator, their voice shook. Our people are harvested for our biochemical lattices. Our population has been reduced by 18% in the last 2 council cycles alone. Right, Emma tapped something on her tablet. So, they're enslaving you, and the council ignored your petitions for, multiple generations? The muttering in the tiers intensified. Several ambassadors suddenly found their datapads fascinating. Vexithul cleared their throat, frills tight with unease. The, micro-scale of the T'Nari complicated recognition of their sentience. Previous petitions lacked sufficient signatures to meet procedural thresholds. There was debate about whether small size doesn't mean small rights, Emma said. This is basic stuff. Terran, Vex Thul said, taking a calming breath noticeably. War declarations require a formal military capability analysis, documented grievances, and a preparatory period of no less than 15 standard years. One does not simply declare war because someone asked nicely. Emma squinted. But they did ask nicely. Also, they brought documentation. She gestured to Zilar. Lots of documentation. Very organized people, the Tianari. The documentation is not in question, Vex Thul said faintly. Your behavior is. Emma shrugged. Look, where I'm from, if somebody walks into my office and says, "Hi, my family's being systematically exploited and we're all going to die, could you maybe help?" I don't schedule them for an appointment next decade. I act. This is just bigger scale. This is 3-star systems, Zara said, laugh rasping through the chamber. Korvan, Zephyrite, and the Malus Coalition have a combined fleet capacity of 50,000 warships and orbital platforms, entire industrial rings. What does Earth have? An intern with a clipboard? Emma glanced at her tablet. We've actually got several interns, but they're mostly in training. Anyway, fleet numbers bore me. The relevant fact is you're enslaving billions of people the size of dust in ways that would make most horror shows look tasteful. So, we're going to fix that. We, Vex Thul echoed weakly, as in Earth, as in your recently contacted low fleet capacity non-member world. Yep, Emma smiled. It wasn't a threatening smile. That made it worse. Plus any of you who want to help, obviously, but we're not waiting for you this time. The Council's diplomatic corps, hundreds of trained mediators from 24 species, sat frozen, as if a gravity malfunction had locked them in place. A Saurian delegate raised a trembling tendril. You cannot simply help without process. Sure I can, Emma said. Watch. Vex Thul pinched the ridge between their primary eyes with one limb. Human. When a state declares war, they must submit fleet assessments, logistics plans, casualty projections. Paperwork, Emma translated. Love paperwork. That's why I'm here, actually. You all keep losing Tianari petitions in some subcommittee black hole. So, I filed form. She flipped through her tablet. Here. 27B, Declaration of Hostility by Proxy in triplicate, every page stamped. I made your clerk scan them while she was still pretending my appointment was misfiled. You didn't go through the Diplomatic Engagement Council, Vex Thul protested. You didn't go through the Enslaving a Species is Bad Council, Emma shot back. Oh, wait, you don't have one. Weird. Siler tilted their tiny head toward Emma, wings trembling. We truly have legal standing, then? You are not, how do humans say, pranking us? Emma's expression softened. No, sweetheart, I don't joke about this kind of thing. You're my clients now. I take that seriously. Zara laughed, a sharp, metallic sound. Clients. Emma ignored her. Vex Thul, I understand that from your perspective this is all very sudden. From theirs, she nodded down at Sylar. It's centuries late, so I filed the fastest legal route available. You're welcome, by the way. You had a procedural mechanism in your charter, you just never used it because nobody thought the small folk would find a sponsor. The sponsor is a world with no recognized fleet, no history of interstellar warfare, and no seat on this council, Vex Thul said. Emma sipped her drink. You've never seen a social services department's emergency response budget, have you? How can you wage war without a fleet? Vex Thul demanded. Emma glanced at her tablet again. Oh, we have ships. They're just not on your lists yet. Paperwork lag. You know how it is. 100 diplomatic specialists inhaled in horror. Zara leaned forward, amused. You truly expect us to believe Earth has secretly built a fleet? Not secretly, Emma frowned. Just not obsessively cataloged by you. I thought you guys liked data. Maybe send a survey next time? The Council will not condone this madness, Vex Thul declared, raising their frills. We will convene a mediation panel to arbitrate Tianari grievances according to... We tried asking, Emma said, voice still gentle but with a new edge. They said no, for 700 years. That was before Earth's involvement, Vexthul said, with new pressure. You offered pressure, Emma said, nodding toward Zara's dais. They laughed in your face and called the Tianari resources. Do you really think one more subcommittee report is going to change that? All eyes turned to Zara. The military coordinator spread her clawed hands, unconcerned. The microorganisms are harvested like any other crop. They are bioproducts. The Council has long accepted this framing. Not anymore, Emma said, because I don't. And who are you, Zara purred, to decide the norms of the galaxy, little mammal? Emma set her mug down very carefully. I'm a social worker, she said. I specialize in crisis intervention. You're definitely the bad guys. Makes this easier. Vexthul's frills were now fully flared. Human. I beseech you, withdraw this declaration, follow proper protocols, we can construct sanctions, diplomatic censure. Already tried that, Emma said. Council offered sanctions. She ticked points off her fingers. They refused. Council offered economic incentives to phase out harvesting. They refused. Council offered third-party audits. Zara called them cute. We don't negotiate with dust, Zara said with a lazy shrug. Cool, Emma said. Then we're done talking. War starts Monday. A hush fell over the chamber. Monday? Vexthul repeated faintly. What is a Monday? First day of my work week, Emma said. Got a few home visits to finish up, then we head out. You scheduled the war around your other appointments, Vexthul said. Emma smiled again. Well, yeah, I'm not going to cancel on Mrs. Alvarez. We've been trying to get her housing stabilized for months. She was here first. The council chamber exploded into overlapping protests, questions, and outright shrieks in at least 4 sonic registers. Over the din, Zylar's tiny voice shook. Field Officer Emma Johnson. Emma looked down. Yeah, honey. If, Zylar whispered, if you do not succeed, they will exterminate us. They have promised as much if we ever cause trouble again. We'll succeed, Emma said, matter of fact. That's my job. You are one world, Zylar said. Their wings trembled. They are 3 star systems. Emma reached out, carefully tapping a command that dimmed the hollow around Zylar's platform as if wrapping them in a small bubble of privacy amid the chaos. Zylar, she said quietly, we're going to get you out. Safely. All of you. And we're going to make damn sure nobody ever harvests you again. Okay? Zylar's tiny eyes glistened. We have been ignored for so long. It is difficult to believe. Emma's smile turned fierce. Then let me change your expectations. Above them, Vexthul shouted for order. Zara laughed openly at the insanity of it all, and the council's rulebooks quietly began to combust under the strain. 1 week later, Vexthul regretted not having more stomachs to be sick with. Report, they demanded, hovering over the war table in the council's Crisis Operations Center. Hollow stars spun in the air, 3 systems highlighted in angry red. Corvan, Zephrite, Malice. New icons flickered at the edges, blue triangles tagged unregistered human vessels. Military analysts from half the council's member states crowded the chamber, their various appendages busy with data pads, hollow gestures, and nervous fidgeting. Our long-range arrays confirm, said a Traylon tactical analyst, mandibles clicking. Human vessels have entered all 3 contested systems simultaneously. They cannot have achieved triple system penetration in a week, Vexthul snapped. They have 47 ships. 47 confirmed, the analyst said. Primary tonnage suggests mostly cargo hulls, retrofitted with unknown technology. Across the table, Zara folded her forearms, radiating irritation. 50,000 warships against 47 freighters. I applaud your commitment to drama, but this does not yet qualify as a crisis. Hush, Vexthul said, too stressed to be diplomatic. We are trying to understand why your admirals are sending frantic distress signals. Zara's eyes narrowed. What signals? The analyst pulled up a feed. Dozens of distress headers filled the air, stamped with the emblems of Korvan, Zephyrite, and the Malus Coalition. Human vessels. Ignoring Hale's human vessels. Ignoring weapons fire request clarification. Are humans council protected? Error. Shield penetration. Failures at 100% rate. The last one flickered ominously. Zara's spines rattled. Impossible. If they are ignoring weapons fire, then… At present, the analyst said, all human vessels are on direct approach trajectories to agricultural and industrial worlds. No evasive maneuvers. They are broadcasting some kind of hold music. Hold music, Vexthul repeated. The chamber audio system obligingly played a sample, a jaunty human melody with lyrics about working 9 to 5 and needing a vacation. Vexthul shut it off. Why are they playing whatever that was during a war? It appears to be on a repeating loop, the analyst said. Get me the human, Vexthul groaned. A hollow connection spun up in the center of the chamber. Emma appeared, slightly pixelated from the distance, sitting in a swivel chair on what was presumably her command ship. She had a sandwich in one hand and a stylus in the other, absent-mindedly scrolling through something off-screen. Oh, hey, she said, mouth full. Give me 2 seconds. I'm just checking a resource allocation spreadsheet. Human, Vexthul said. Our sensors show your ships are under heavy fire from all 3 systems. Yep, Emma said. They're a little stingy with the ceasefires. You are sitting down and eating, Vexthul said, with your shields under fire. Emma glanced to the side. Huh? Oh, right, yeah. I should probably turn those off. They're messing with the visuals. She poked a control somewhere. The background hollow behind her shifted, going from a blue-tinted tactical overlay back to normal lighting. There. Anyway, how can I help? Zara shoved her way into visual range. You fool of a mammal, you bring 47 ships against 50,000 and expect what? That we will surrender out of sheer pity? I mean, you wouldn't be the first, Emma said. But no, that'd be silly. The ships aren't here to fight you. They are here to invade our worlds, Zara snarled. We're here to evacuate your victims, Emma corrected. Very different thing, Vexthul's voice wobbled. You are, at this moment, ignoring all weapons fire? Emma looked blank. Should I not be? I thought declining incoming projectiles was like career survival 101 out here. Their combined arsenals outmass your fleet by a factor of, the analyst began. Emma waved the sandwich. Numbers, numbers, numbers. Look, their weapons can't get through our shields. We tested that pretty thoroughly already. You tested? Zara stopped. How? Oh, we let them shoot us, Emma said. Just a bit. Took the interns off the exposed decks, of course. I'm not reckless. You used live enemy fire to calibrate your defenses, Vexthul said, horrified. Sure, Emma said. You think we have budgets for full-scale simulations? Please, Zara snarled. Your shields cannot be that strong, the energy requirements alone. Our personal protection tech is pretty solid, Emma said. Earth got very tired of losing people. We overcorrected. Anyway, can you stop firing? The flashes are distracting while we're trying to coordinate transfers. Transfers, Vexthul repeated. Of the Tianari, Emma said. We're on the ground at multiple sites now. Everything's going fine. On the ground, Zara said slowly. You have humans physically on our planets. Emma tapped her tablet. A side feed popped up, helmet cam footage from a human worker walking through what looked like a sprawling industrial complex. Alerts and tracer fire streaked past, but the human in the center walked as if on a lunchtime stroll, surrounded by a faint, shimmering field. Military personnel in Zephyrite armor scrambled for cover, firing weapons that splashed harmlessly against the human's shimmering ward. The helmet's audio picked up a cheerful voice. Hi, social services. Which section has the Tianari containment units, please? The Zephyrite commander shrieked something, obscene, and fired point blank. The bolt hit the shield and dispersed into harmless light. Rude, the human said. Okay, we'll find it ourselves. Team C, you've got the West Wing. Remember to log any injuries, physical or emotional. Vexthul's gills fluttered in shock. Your ground forces are completely immune to their weapons. Not immune, Emma corrected, but well protected. Personal shields, kinetic dampeners, medical nanites, environmental seals, the usual safety gear. The usual, Vexthul echoed faintly. Standard for social workers in rough neighborhoods, Emma said. We get yelled at a lot, sometimes shot at. You gear up. In what universe, Zara hissed, is this usual? Mine, Emma said. Another feed window opened. A Tianari containment facility. Rows upon rows of microscopic biotanks, each one a prison for billions of shimmering specks. Human workers moved methodically down the aisles, tapping controls on sleek handheld devices. Each tap dissolved the tank's walls, replacing them with a flood of protective microfields. The freed Tianari swarmed into newly created microhabitats, tiny gleaming globes held in the hands of human workers like glittering snow globes of life. Weapons fire rained down from catwalks above, absorbed harmlessly by overhead shield lattices. Hi there, a human voice called up to the Malu soldiers. We're just here to pick up the clients. You can put the guns down or keep wasting power. Your call. Ground assault, Vexthul whispered. Not really, Emma said. We're not trying to take territory, just people. We walked through their military bases, unlocked the cages, and now we're asking the Tianari where they want to go. You cannot simply ask them where they want to go, Zara snapped. They are property. Resources, not beings, Emma quoted, face hardening. I wrote that down from the last session. They are the backbone of our biochemical industries, Zara continued. You remove them, you collapse 3 economies. Gee, Emma said, maybe you should have considered that before basing your entire economy on slavery. Human, Vexthul said, voice strained. What is your end game? You speak as though this is an evacuation. It is, Emma said. We're liberating the Tianari populations and relocating them to safe systems. We'll hold the harvesting facilities as leverage until the oppressor governments agree to reparations and binding treaties. Then we're done. Just like that, Zara said. You think you can move billions of microorganisms under fire and not take casualties? We're pretty good at logistics, Emma said. Social services is 90% logistics, 10% crying in the staff bathroom. You're outnumbered 1,000 to 1, Zara said. You are under continuous fire. You are. Hold that thought, Emma said. She glanced off-screen. Hey, Marco, can you mute the incoming artillery? It's spiking the audio levels. A muffled voice answered, On it, boss. The background thumps went quiet, replaced by a gentle hiss. Emma turned back. Sorry, where were we? Vexthul stared. How many Tianari have you moved so far? Emma flicked to a new screen. Preliminary numbers. Looks like about 110 billion in the Corvan system, 98 billion in Zephyrite, and, she squinted. Wow, 600 billion in Malice. They really packed them in there. We're redirecting more ships that way. 800 billion, Vexthul whispered, doing the math. Roughly, Emma said. Some overlap, some unregistered. We'll know more after intake interviews. Interviews? Zara roared. Of course, Emma said. We need to establish family units, cultural clusters, trauma histories. You can't just throw refugees onto random planets and call it a day. You cannot possibly think this is sustainable, Zara said. We will counterattack. We will adapt. We will build weapons that can... By the time you do, Emma said calmly, this will be over. Also, we'll have filed, 14 more complaints with the council, and Vexthul here will be buried in so much follow-up paperwork you'll wish you'd never heard of Earth. Vexthul made a small strangled noise. Human, they said. Termination of hostilities requires council oversight, structured negotiations. Oh, we'll negotiate, Emma said, just as soon as we've cleared your little resource depots. Zara spat something untranslatable. Emma's eyes narrowed. Careful, my translator's set to polite, but it can be changed. Alarms flashed red on the holotable. Oppressor fleets are diverting all ships to planetary orbits, the analyst reported. They're attempting to physically block human landings. Emma's gaze flicked aside. That's new. 1 sec. She reached off-screen and tapped a series of commands. A new icon appeared on the tactical map. A soft, expanding sphere around each human ship. What are those? Vexthul asked. De-escalation fields, Emma said. They'll nudge any incoming vessel out of collision courses. We use them around schools. Kids get wild, you know? Zara stared in horror as the simulation updated. Sleek Malus frigates veered off course at the last second, as if some invisible hand had gently pushed them aside. You are violating the laws of physics, Zara whispered. Just bending them constructively, Emma said. We had a lot of incentive. Turns out when your species spends most of its history hurting each other, you either get really good at killing or really good at protecting. Some of us chose the second option. This is not how war works, Vexthul said weakly. This isn't war, Emma said. It's crisis intervention, with spaceships. 3 days later, the sensible word for what had happened to the Korvan, Zephyridu, and Malus militaries was collapse. The term Vexthul's staff actually used in their internal memos was faceplant. The council chamber was packed beyond capacity. Ambassadorial aides sat on stairs. Representatives leaned over railings. The air vibrated with a mixture of fear, awe, and the brittle laughter of people who just realized their conceptual universe was too small. Vexthul reviewed the reports with mounting disbelief. Complete failure of all offensive operations, read one. 0 recorded casualties among human personnel. Another, all Tianari-related facilities now under human control. Biological harvesting has ceased entirely in all 3 systems. Another, local populations in Korvan agricultural sectors now voluntarily assisting in Tianari evacuation, citing human intimidation by niceness. Vexthul massaged their cranial ridges. Summarize. A junior aide swallowed. The humans walked through 3 war zones like they were doing a home visit in a dangerous neighborhood, supreme arbiter. And the oppressor forces? Vexthul asked. Demoralized, the aide said. Their weapons are useless. Their fleets cannot approach human ships without being gently rerouted. Their governments are experiencing internal unrest as citizens question the morality of their Tianari policy. The morality, Vexthul repeated. Now? Apparently, the sight of humans physically carrying microhabitats filled with glittering Tianari, while humming soothing songs and ignoring missile fire, has had a destabilizing effect on propaganda narratives. Zara burst into the chamber, armor scuffed, eyes blazing. This is a violation of every principle of warfare, she snarled, striding into the center. Your pet mammal does not fight. It removes the stakes. Ah, Zara, Vexthul said weakly, we were just… Your council charters never anticipated an enemy who does not intend to kill, Zara raged. Who does not take territory, does not sack cities, does not even respond to fire. They come, they take the microorganisms, they leave. How do you counter that? Maybe by not enslaving microorganisms, suggested someone in the back. Zara spun but couldn't identify the speaker. Connect us to the Terran, Vexthul said. Emma appeared again, this time with a Tianari microhabitat floating beside her like a tiny glass moon. Inside, billions of iridescent specks moved in complex, swirling patterns. Cities, cultures, lives. Hi, Emma said. Sorry, I can't stay long. We're mid-transport. You will stay, Zara snarled. You will explain how you rendered 3 of the galaxy's most powerful fleets completely irrelevant. Emma thought about it. We didn't go for your fleets, she said. That was your first mistake. You assumed war is about destroying the other side's capacity to hurt you. We aimed at your capacity to hurt the Tinari instead. Different target. You have no right, Zara began. Legally, Emma said, I do. Proxy advocacy, under your own council's convention, 97B. I hate to break it to you, but you left about 12 humanitarian loopholes in your statutes because you never thought anyone would use them. I live in loopholes. Vexthul's frills paled. Our legal department assures me that everything the humans have done so far is technically compliant. I filed the battlefield entries as emergency home visits, Emma added. That helped. You cannot retrofit a war as a social work procedure, Zara shouted. Sure I can, Emma said. I documented risk factors, identified systemic abuse, and executed an emergency removal of endangered populations. Textbook stuff. Your technology, Vexthul broke in, desperate to regain some sense that cause still led to effect in the universe. Explain your protection technology. Emma sighed. Fine, basic overview. We developed personal shielding a while back because we got tired of people dying in stupid ways. Started with firefighters, then police, then domestic violence intervention teams. Eventually, social services got the same gear because it turns out telling someone they're losing custody of their kids can get you shot just as fast as a battlefield can. You are serious, Vexthul said. Oh yeah, Emma said. We've got medical nanites that keep our workers stable if they get injured, environmental suits that let us operate in toxic waste zones, kinetic dampeners that turn high-velocity impacts into gentle nudges. We even have panic field emitters that de-escalate large crowds by tweaking local neurochemistry. Had to. People get volatile when their lives are on fire. These are frontline war technologies, Zara said. This would take most civilizations thousands of years to refine. Emma shrugged. We're fast learners, and we had motivation. Every time one of our people got hurt on the job, there was an inquiry, new funding, new upgrades. Took a few centuries, but we got here. Now we lose maybe one worker a decade to violence. We're aiming for zero. Zero casualties, Vexthul echoed, glancing at the reports. And in this operation, have you lost anyone? Emma looked off-screen for a moment, lips moving as she skimmed a feed. One broken ankle from tripping over a step in low gravity, she said. 3 panic attacks. We've got counselors on call. No deaths. Tianari casualties. Her face darkened. Some. Your people tried to vent a few facilities rather than let us in. We stopped most of them. Selar's tiny form flared into view beside Emma's hollow. Their wings trembled, eyes shining wetly. Field Officer Emma Johnson, they said, voice ragged. Current count stands at 847,212,983,617 Tianari rescued. See, Emma said softly. Told you we'd figure it out. Xylar bowed so deeply their wings nearly brushed their platform. Our songs will never cease to speak your name, they whispered. Please don't worship me, Emma said, looking uncomfortable. It's weird. Just live. That's enough. Zara slammed a fist into her chair's arm. This will not stand. You have seized every single one of our Tianari harvesting facilities. Those represent trillions in infrastructure. And also trillions of crimes, Emma said. Funny how that balances out. You are dismantling our economies, Zara said. Temporarily, Emma said. Look, I'm not here to micromanage your GDP. I'm here to stop the abuse. Right now, your facilities are under human control. We're cataloging everything. When we're done, we'll hand them back, after you sign reparations agreements and binding protections. You would return them after humiliating us? Zara demanded. Yes, Emma said, because we're not interested in punishing you for fun. We're interested in preventing you from repeating this. Punishment is easy. Structural change is hard. I go for impact. Vexthul stared at her. You are negotiating surrender terms. Already? Emma shrugged. The Tianari are safe. From you, at least. That was the big goal. Now we pivot to long-term stability, standard case flow. This is not a case, Zara snapped. This is war. Emma looked at Zilar floating beside her. You still afraid they're going to exterminate you if we leave? Zilar hesitated. Less, they admitted softly, but fear is slow to fade. Emma nodded. Then it's still a case. She turned back to the chamber. Here's my proposal. Zara, your 3 governments sign a treaty recognizing the Tianari as sentient and granting them full personhood rights. You agree to pay reparations, mostly resource transfers and debt cancellations, to support their resettlement. You open your economies to audits to make sure you're not quietly rebuilding the same system under a new name. Zara scoffed. And if we refuse? Emma raised her eyebrows. Then we keep the facilities. You don't get your shiny infrastructure back. Ever. And we reclassify your systems as high risk for exploitation. That'll make it a lot harder to do business. Pretty sure some of your neighbors would love to pick up the slack, on better terms. That would be an act of economic war, Zara said. You enslaved an entire civilization and called it agriculture, Emma said. Forgive me if I don't weep for your quarterly profits. Vexthul looked between them, frills trembling. The council must ratify any such agreement. Sure, Emma said. We'll file the paperwork afterward, but I'd rather get verbal commitments now while everyone's still motivated. Zara's jaws clenched. We will not be strong-armed by some peaceful maniac with magic shields. Zara, came a new voice. Another holofeed blinked to life, a Malus official, face drawn, eyes tired. Behind her, the holo showed crowds of Malus citizens shouting, not in triumph but in protest. Placards flickered in the air. They are people and no more harvesting. We have riots in our cities, the official said. Our people have seen the recordings, the microhabitats, the children. We did not know. You did not want to know, Sheeler whispered. The official winced. Perhaps. But now we do, and we cannot unknow it. Zara, our coalition cannot win this. Not militarily, not economically, not morally. We must sign. Zara stared at her, betrayal flaring. You would capitulate to the truth, the official said quietly. More feeds joined. Korvan ministers, Zephyrite industrial magnates, all with similar stories. Their fleets couldn't touch the humans. Their economies couldn't function without Tianari labor, which was now gone. Their populations, presented with the raw, undeniable reality of tiny, terrified voices in magnified clarity, had started asking dangerous questions. We are not ready to answer to our own children, a Korvan representative said, but we will have to. We choose to do it with some dignity left. Zara sagged back in her chair, strangled by a world she thought she controlled. Fine, she spat. Draft your damn treaties. We will sign. But understand this, human. You have set a precedent. You have shown every oppressed microbe and minor polity that if they find a Terran with a bleeding heart, they can drag the galaxy into chaos. Emma smiled tiredly. Good, Vexthul caught their breath. Good? Yeah, Emma said. Chaos is just the name people in power give to accountability. There it was again, that terrifying casual certainty, as if shifting the equilibrium of 3-star systems was just another Tuesday. We will require council oversight committees, Vexthul said weakly, clinging to procedure like a life raft. Monitoring, periodic reports, enforcement mechanisms. Working on it, Emma said. I've already drafted something I'm calling the Emma Protocol. We can rename it if that's too embarrassing. The what? Vexthul said. Protocol for Emergency Humanitarian Intervention in Cases of Systemic Council-Neglected Abuse, Emma said, includes standardized response guidelines, metrics, and debrief structures. You'd be surprised how much policy we can steal from child protection services. You cannot name a galactic standard after yourself, Zara snarled. I didn't, Emma said. One of your analysts did it in a memo. I thought it was cute. Vexthul made a mental note to find out which analyst that was and whether they needed a promotion or a lengthy vacation. Zilar's wings fluttered with something like laughter. We approve of the name, they said. We will tell our descendants that when we cried out, the galaxy at last listened, because a human social worker got annoyed. Emma rubbed her eyes. I wasn't annoyed. Well, I was, but mostly I was tired of watching people fall through cracks that exist because someone decided small lives don't count. She straightened. So, are we signing, or are my people going to be stuck babysitting your harvesting facilities for the next century? Zara hissed. Vexthul looked at the feeds of collapsing regimes, protesting citizens, and glittering micro-cities swirling in human-made spheres. On behalf of the Council, Vexthul said slowly, we will witness and enforce this agreement, reluctantly, with extensive footnotes. Emma grinned. Now you're speaking my language. 2 weeks later, the Council smelled faintly of burned paper and new beginnings. In the great lecture hall, Vexthul addressed an audience of ambassadors, analysts, and more lawyers than any sane person would willingly assemble. Behind them, a massive holo displayed the title, Case Study, Earth and the Tianari, a protective services approach to interstellar conflict. Vexthul never thought they'd live to see an academic conference slide with the words, case management and 3-star systems in the same sentence. Yet here they were. The human intervention, Vexthul said, has forced us to reconsider our assumptions about the nature of war, responsibility, and the Council's mandate. Earth did not wage war in the conventional sense. They executed what they term a protective services operation, utilizing overwhelming defensive technology and logistics with the express goal of achieving zero casualties where possible. Holoclips played behind them, humans walking calmly through gunfire, Tianari microhabitats being transferred like precious jewels, Zara signing a treaty with a look like she'd swallowed a live grenade. In light of this, Vexthul continued, the Council is establishing a new framework for what we call human-style interventions. We recognize the unique ethos of Earth's approach, combining terrifying efficiency with an almost pathological desire to help. Laughter rippled through the hall, edged with nerves. In partnership with Terran Social Services, Vexthul said, we are drafting protocols that will allow future requests for emergency intervention to be routed to qualified actors. Earth has declined to be the sole provider of such services, citing burnout risk. The audience chuckled again. Elsewhere in the galaxy, the Tianari celebrated in ways invisible to the naked eye. 17 uninhabited garden worlds flickered into life with new, tiny cities. The Council, perhaps out of guilt or gratitude, had designated them Tianari sovereign territories. Under magnification, their surfaces sparkled with intricate micro-architecture, fractal art, and swirling clouds of nanoflora tailored to Tianari biology. On Earth, Emma Johnson filled out forms. Successful case resolution, she dictated to her tablet, sitting at a slightly cluttered desk in a modest apartment overlooking an entirely ordinary cityscape. Clients relocated to safe housing, perpetrators under supervision with structured reparations. Follow-up recommended at 6-month, 1-year, and 5-year intervals. Her living room shelves were crowded. Between battered mugs and social work textbooks, tiny clear cubes sat on stands, Tianari art installations. Under a magnifying glass, each cube contained a 3-dimensional tapestry of impossible complexity. Layered light sculptures, miniature soundscapes that translated into chords when passed through a Council-issued device, microscopic glyphs retelling the story of their liberation. Emma leaned in, squinting through her magnifier. Wow, she murmured, you guys do like your detail. Her tablet pinged. Incoming call, Supreme Arbiter Vexthul. She answered, still holding the magnifier to one eye. Vexthul's 3-eyed face appeared, upside down from her perspective. You look occupied, Vexthul said.